Hi, and welcome to the Blueprints to Buildings podcast. I'm your host, Glen Palmer, and on this show, I interview the movers and shakers in the world of property development and real estate. So, this episode is brought to you by a prop tech innovation that's flipping the script on how developments are visualized and sold. There's no outdated 3D models, there is no guesswork, just a faster route from conception to completion, often cutting 8 to 12 weeks off project timelines. Want to see it in action? Reach out to me on LinkedIn at Glen Palmer Secure or check out the show notes below. So today I am joined by Julie Stevens. She is the CEO of Constructionarium, a hugely respected leader in construction education who spent her career shaping future talent and transforming how students experience the industry. Julia, thank you very much for coming on the show today. Welcome to the show, first off. And let's jump straight in.
Thanks so much, Glenn, for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. So, very first question I ask everybody, if time travel became a reality and you had the chance to go back in time to when you first started your career, what sort of advice would the person that you are now tell your younger self?
That's a really interesting question. And also going back to when I was a younger self, that feels like a very long time ago.
Yes.
But I would say probably three things. Firstly, try everything because you're perhaps uniquely placed in you haven't got the issues of mortgages and student loans and all the rest of it. So if you are able to absolutely try everything because you don't know what's out there and you don't know what you're going to enjoy. The second thing is when you're working in industry is, and I always say this to all my early careers, people that I've recruited over the years, is make a polite nuisance of yourself. Go and ask those questions about what people are doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing it, and the challenges that they're facing. Because what you're doing at all times in those early stages of your career is really gaining knowledge and gaining a bigger picture of the industry or the sector that you're working in. So for me, that's key. And I've always said that to the youngsters.
Yeah.
And I guess the third thing, which is a bit with the benefit of hindsight, is about challenging the norm. Because things have always been done in a particular way, doesn't mean to say that that's how things have to be done in the future.
Yeah.
Challenge the norm, but make sure if you're challenging it, you're doing it with respect. You are doing it with a position of having a proposal that could be discussed as a replacement option of doing things. And I think that's quite key. Not just saying, oh, that's all rubbish, the world's moved on and all the rest of it. Go with a position of a proposal, which you can start entering those discussions with.
Yeah. Yeah. So, humans, they just do not like change, and it's getting that change across the line. Yes, there is need. Yes, if something is not working quite as well as it should be, 100% agree with you. There should be say, hold on a second, this is not right. However, let's try this to see if this is going to work. So not just going all guns blazing. Yeah, I've been burnt a couple of times by doing that. So, Julie, you worked across engineering, you've worked across HR, education, and now you lead Constructionarium. So, what originally pulled you towards actually developing people rather than just the projects itself?
I think I've always had a keen interest in people and helping people, in particular, if they face challenges in their life, trying to perhaps help them through that or maybe being their voice to make a difference for themselves. And so many years ago, I was moved into personnel, which is obviously now HR, but back in those days, it was called personnel, where you looked after people. And I really enjoyed it because it enabled me to take those, I guess, caring sides of people into an actual career. And then from that, learning the discrete parts of HR in terms of recruitment and development was great. I absolutely loved it. Having the opportunity to interview people and to help them understand that they've got unique skills that they can bring to a role or that they can bring to a company, I've really enjoyed. I get so much satisfaction out of helping people realize their potential, I guess. And I've done that for many years. In early career position, I've recruited over 1,400 early careers people across all those different sectors.
Wow.
And that's been great. You go to these assessment centres, or you run the assessment centres, and you see individuals who don't realise how fantastic they are, and how they can add such value, not only to the industry, but also to life in general. They just don't realise it at all. So that is a real privilege. Being able to play such a small part in people's careers, a real privilege.
Yeah, and you get to see them right at the beginning of their career and actually watch them blossom, don't you?
Yeah,
And that's so
indeed.
that must be hugely rewarding.
It
When
is.
you take someone, they've got this like real raw talent, they don't really realize it, and then you can sort of mold them and educate them and push them in the right direction. That must be awesome.
It
So
is.
before we started, we were looking at your background, which is your learning center. And Constructionarium is famous for learning by doing. So, in your view, what does experimental learning outperform classroom only education, especially when it comes to construction?
It does in a number of different ways. So Constructionarium has been around for 20 odd, 23 years, I think, in total. And it came about because Steph Stefano was at an academic conference, and academia was saying, we do all this fantastic stuff. We give industry what they need in terms of personnel to recruit and bring into their organisations. And he stood up and said, actually, that's not the case. It takes us 6 months to get people ready. Once they come out the classroom, they don't have that practical skills and that practical understanding. So, like all great entrepreneurs, he chucked some money at it, and Expedition Engineering, along with Imperial College, came up with this concept of an immersive experience. So we see that transformational change of individuals, whether they are in college or whether they are in first year or any year of university. We see that transformational change because they come to us, they are working in a team of between 16 to 22. They've got an assigned project role, they've got a project brief, and they are working very much as a contractor. So they've done all the risk assessments and method statements and expected carbon calculations or whatever it's going to be. And so when they take their first steps on our site, it's that real opportunity to say, oh, okay, how do I now do it? What do I need to do? So when they arrive, you can see the site behind me. This is actually our infrastructure area for Malal Viaduct. And this gap is about 50, 60 foot. So they're arriving and it's completely flat earth. And so they have to break down in their smaller teams and actually apply their knowledge that they've got at college or university, using the information that they've got to create a finished structure. So it is very much like rabbits in headlights for that first morning, and they break into their smaller groups and they prepare the rebar and the concreting and still fixing rather, and they'll be ready for their first concrete pour, which will be around sort of 2 o'clock on that Monday morning. So having arrived on site 5 hours earlier, already straight into it and doing what a contractor, what they would walk past on the street and see a contractor doing over the fence. And in the evenings, they report back to the client as to where they are against their project plan and their budget and any issues that have arisen on site. And the meetings are driven just like a proper client review. So the client changes their mind, client might want something different, a bit of extra information or challenging the teams or whatever. But they're working at all times. So from a very quick start on a Monday morning to being able to see something coming out of the ground happens really, really quickly. And so their learning and their knowledge, they go through Kolb's learning cycle, which I always get this around the wrong way, but it's about the doing and the reviewing, and I always get it around the wrong way. But anyway, there's a Kolb's learning cycle, and you see the students going through that probably 10, 12 times a day, because they are gaining the knowledge, they're applying it, they're considering what they've done, they're learning from it, and then they're doing it again. So it is very fast-paced, it is very creative in terms of turning that theory into practice, which is what our strapline is. And when we get to Friday, we then see these structures like this. So all our projects are based on real life structures from around the world. And this Brewery Wharf project, which is up in Leeds. And again, this project is about 30 foot. So they are completing this in 5 days. And so the sense of achievement of working in a team, getting all those employability skills such as time management, quality, interpersonal skills, leadership, all those additional employability skills individuals are getting at Constructionarium, along with those technical applications. And so when they leave 5 days later, truly, I can tell you, they look different. They behave different. They are more mature. They are more considerate of working under pressure with your team, and being more respectful, perhaps, of the scenarios that they're working in.
Yeah.
So that transformative journey that they've been on, you see happen before your eyes. And Glenn, if you ever get an opportunity, please come and see what we do. We love showing
I'd love to.
around,
and this is
for them
in
to see it as well.
and this is in a week. So they
Absolutely.
start on the Monday, they finish on the Friday, and they learn all them skills all the way through.
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
fantastic.
And I can promise you, just touching on the recruitment side of it, and this is one of the reasons that I got involved and enjoyed getting involved so much, was because there isn't one competency question that can't be answered from the time that they're with us during that time.
Yeah.
And recruitment companies they will have their set of competencies that they are looking to recruit against.
Yeah.
Generally, I promise you, there isn't one that isn't covered.
Brilliant. That is fantastic. Now, the industry keeps on talking about the skill shortages. So how critical is it that we expose students very early to construction? And what happens if we do not get this right?
If we don't get it right, the skill shortage is just going to get worse and worse and worse. The number of youngsters coming through is getting less and less, and all sectors are competing for a smaller talent pool. So we need to be able to inspire that next generation to take those steps into construction, because it is such a fantastic industry to work in, and you can do it anywhere in the world. So why wouldn't you not want to do it? There is really that fantastic career path people can have. I think there is a challenge, as I say, because there's competing against perhaps more sexier subjects, some might say, not me, but some might say. And also people not realizing the different varied career paths that there are. Not just being on site, but the office related roles, the health and safety, the sustainability, the impacts it has, because what individuals are doing is not only building their immediate world around them, but the rest of the world, and how they're going to teach their children, and how they're going to get to work, and all those other things. It's all about entering that workspace. There is a real danger, I think, when we have new qualifications that come out, such as the T levels, which require 315 hours worth of work experience. And it doesn't feel like perhaps those are being developed in conjunction with industry, because 16, 17-year-olds will find it very difficult to get on-site experience. And Constructionarium for a long time have been saying, we're here, we can deliver that for you. So if you are a college and you're struggling to get your work experience placements, we can do that for you in a safe, it is a live construction site, but it's a safe environment. And also individuals are potentially affecting clients' bottom line or productivity on their particular project. So I think there's a lesson there to be learned there, in terms of working closer with industry, in terms of shaping the qualifications that are created. I fear there's potential for a similar mistake to be had. Next year, there are the V levels, which are going to be introduced. And there is quite a few construction-related qualifications that have been listed, but the same rules apply. They are asking for a significant proportion of work experience, which the youngsters are going to struggle to get because of their age, coming onto a live site, and the difficulties that brings. So if there are any academics out there, if there are any government ministers out there, we're here. We can solve that problem for you. Come and have a conversation.
Exactly. And now we live in a world where digitization is now the new norm. So do you think like immersive tools, things like, the 3D environments, simulations, digital project workthroughs can help students and early career talent better visualize what a real construction project actually involves? So you've got the hands-on, which is absolutely fabulous. Do you think that 3D modeling can help in that respect to prepare them?
Absolutely. And inspire them,
Yeah.
because it's something that can be taken into the classroom for, year 9, 10 youngsters, and can be that inspirational piece. And I think that it's something that is critical, and we are looking at how we can integrate it into our offering. We are a not-for-profit, so we don't have a huge budget that I can invest in IT, but there are ways that we can move our offering along to include those digitalized elements to help people see the full life cycle of
Yeah.
a drawing coming to life and then actually being built on site. And I think that's really key, because the digital world is fantastic, and you can do so many incredible things, but understanding the materials that are actually being used is really important as well. So doing some fantastic, I mean, just look at CAD drawing, for example, doing some fantastic drawing with rebar. The user has perhaps no understanding of how heavy it is, how you can't actually manipulate it quite as quickly as you can on a
Yeah.
screen. So
Yeah.
giving people that balance to be able to understand the materials that are being used is important, I think,
Yeah.
on that journey.
Exactly. Yeah. And then from your seat, how do you see construction careers evolving over the next 5 to 10 years, especially with tech sustainability, because that's going to be a big thing in the future's sustainability, and the different modern methods that are actually coming in now?
That's a great question. And I think there's just going to be more of it. And what we need to do is harness those elements, because we're uniquely placed. We are seeing the youngsters who are looking at doing any of the skill sets across the built environment, but then are going to be going into industry. So I think we are uniquely placed in being able to help those youngsters understand the industry that they're going to go into. So we welcome working with suppliers, some of which very kindly donate equipment for us to use, and it gets updated every year. And that's really great, because we know that, a fourth year student is going to be leaving at that summer, going to work on a construction site, and is already recognizing and knows how to use some of those tools and equipment on
Mhm.
site. So I think that's
Yeah.
really important. I think the piece around sustainability, we need to be doing more of it all the
More
time,
on them.
and we've created a couple of short courses that tries to help that. One is called the Constraint Inventory Challenge. I don't know if you remember Scrap Heap Challenge back in the day, but
Yes.
we've
Yes.
developed
Yeah.
something like that. So a shorter course which uses and reuses the waste that we have on site as a training tool,
Oh,
which is
brilliant.
really cool. And we hope to launch in spring of next year. Deconstructionarium, as if our name wasn't long enough, let's put a couple more letters on it. And this is about the process of taking down structures. How
Yeah.
do you do it safely? How do you do it cost effectively? And how do you, most importantly, manage that waste?
Yeah.
Um, and so we're really interested and keen to be working with people to run that as a pilot in the spring, and then roll that out as a proper course once we've got feedback. We always think we couldn't possibly ask the students to take down their own project, because I think that's just heartbreaking. Imagine you spent 5 days building this in the rain and the wind and the snow,
And then you're being told to
no
take it all
life
down.
conditions, and then, oh, by the way, can you just knock it down for us? No, we choose a different project, but
Yeah.
we think there's a real opportunity to inform people about how to do this correctly, how to do it safely, and most importantly, manage the waste correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, Julie, I think what you're doing at Constructionarium is fantastic. Please
Oh,
keep on
bless
doing
you.
what you're doing. But that's it for today's show. Absolute pleasure having you on the show. Really enjoyed the conversation. Really appreciate how important education is, bringing new talent into the construction industry, how important that is. Again, thank you very much for my listeners out there. Julie, just before we go, if listeners want to get in contact with you and learn about what you actually offer at Constructionarium, what are the best ways for my listeners to do that?
drop me an email, jstevens@constructionarium.uk. Go onto our website. We're delighted to have a conversation with you. And genuinely, please come and see what we do.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. And before we go, just for my listeners, a quick nod to the tech back in the show, the one changing how developments are visualized and sold. I didn't name it for a reason. Message me if you want to know now. Thanks for tuning in to Blueprints to Buildings. I'm your host, Glen Palmer. I was joined by Julia Stevens, and I'll see you in the next episode.